which is the data you are pointing is going to be urgent data. Which data is urgent data? So you'll say that, okay, the data which I have mentioned here, the pointer using 16-bit, whatever data you are maintaining, that is, or pointing out, is going to be your urgent data. So when this will be 1, here will be the representation of the data or pointer of the data which is urgent enough in TCP flow or segment, right? So that will be the urgent data if this pointer is true. If there is no urgent data, this pointer will be invalid, so it will be 0. Then it is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement, what it means, you might have known for, you might have gone for piggybacking, right? Even I was explaining you piggybacking when you send data with acknowledgement. So if you have data as well as you want to pass acknowledgement, then this field will be 1. When this field is 1, it means that your data is carrying acknowledgement as well, and here there will be acknowledgement number. Okay. Push pointer is valid whenever it is valid. Say push pointer whenever it is valid. What it means? Whenever it is 1, it means that you need to push data urgently. What happens is, suppose one machine is there and it is waiting for some amount of data so that it can forward it to the buffer. This is its buffer, this is machine, this is its buffer, and here there is a buffer and there is a machine, right? What happens is, you prepare data, and when your entire data is prepared, you add too much or a fixed amount of data, and then you forward it here to the buffer. Buffer will check, when the turn comes, it will forward it to this buffer, it will be stored here, and when turn comes, it will forward to the machine. This is the valid, and we can say a genuine process which is going there, a repeatable process, right? It's a cycle. Now what I mean by push pointer, so you say there will be fixed amount of data. So what we do is, we send 3 students for Viva examination. They will be in a waiting queue, right? 3 students are fixed, so they will go here, give Viva, will be here, and so on. Okay. What is push pointer? Whenever it is true, it means that you do not wait for fixed amount of data. You will not wait for कि भाई इतना data होना चाहिए. What you do is, whatever data you have, it means that you need to immediately transport it. So you will immediately push it to the buffer. When this buffer sees that push pointer is true, what it means, whether its turn is there or not, it will forward it to this buffer, because it's going to be urgent data. When this buffer sees that, okay, push pointer is true, doesn't matter how many buffers or how many packets or segments are there, before this push pointer, it will immediately, without processing, it will forward it to the machine. So when you want to forward a data in a very faster way, what you can do is, you can use push pointer. There is no application where using which you can push this, or you can set this pointer. It will be done by your kernel process, right? It will be done by your kernel, or even for urgent, yes, you can do it. Urgent pointer, people who want to go for hacking, they are using this pointer. Urgent means, okay, my data is very much urgent, and you have given the pointer, and when you access it, actually the hacking goes on sometimes. Okay, it's not always the case, but people are, those who know it, they'll utilize it in another way. Reset, when you want to set the connection, and scene packet, fin packet. Scene is when you want to establish a connection. At that time, you will use scene. When you want to terminate a connection, you will use fin. For this scene and fin, we have this entire example available. So I hope that you might have wrote the things I have discussed, right? Urgent and push pointer. Yes, I did it. Though I did it, let's go for it. The value of the urgent pointer field is valid. The value of acknowledgement field is valid. Push data, reset the connection, synchronize sequence number, and terminate the connection. I did everything. Okay. Now comes a heart of TCP. And the heart of TCP is how you build a connection. So connection establishment using three-way handshaking. It is the only way you can establish a connection, right? In TCP, when you want to build a connection, you need to use three-way handshaking. What is known as three-way handshaking? Let's see. This is a client. Client means what? Who is requesting the data. Server is who is providing the data. Okay, so client and it's a server. So when I want to request for a data from the server, I need to build a connection. And when I actually am willing to build a connection with a server, when I will start with my first packet, my first segment. And so that I am actually taking this chance to create a connection, so that my point is known as active open, because I am opening for this connection establishment. So it's happening, sorry, active open. And whoever is the server will be passively open. I don't know whether he or she will reply to my request or not. Now, I will use port number. There will be port number and everything. Sequence number. Why they have only mentioned sequence number? I tell you that. Sequence number is what? You just clearly say this. When you explain this in examination, don't blindly write the values. You just clearly see this, what this technique is. 8000, what it means. Scene is what? Synchronization. And what is synchronization? Balancing, right? What I'm speaking and what you are getting, we will synchronize in a way. If I'm speaking very faster way, you are getting slower way, or I'm speaking very slower way and you want it in a faster way, we both need to synchronize, right? So because the packets are going from one side to the another side must get the idea that which one is the first packet, which one is the middle packet, which one is the last packet. That server must have the idea. And for that, we are doing, actually for connection establishment, what we do is we do only this thing, synchronization. That's it, right? This is what we are doing, and see how we are doing it. So sequence number is 8000. Yes. This is there. No. Acknowledgement, it may be or may not be, right? Acknowledgement field is there. Yes. There is no acknowledgement, means we do not have anything yet. Push pointer is there. No. Then one other pointer was there. Is it there? No. Terminate connection is there. No. S is means scene packet. This is synchronization packet. It means that it will have a sequence number which the server must know that I am going to start from this sequence number only. Okay. And the message received by your receiver, it's going to be, now the point, this is going to be passive open. Now, by getting that point, okay, someone wants to get data from me and wants to build a connection or establish a connection. By looking at that, server will understand, okay, 8000 is going to be the sequence number, starting sequence number. So I'll say that, okay, I got your packet. How I inform you that, oh, I got your packet and I'm ready to get connected with you. So I will transmit, your server will transmit you another packet, and server will tell you that my sequence number will start from 15,000. So whatever I am going to transmit you will start from 15,000. And I got your 8000 packet, number 8000. So acknowledgement I will put at 8001. What means I'm expecting 8001, but actually it means that I got your 8000 packet. Number, sequence number 8000. I got it. And that goes here. And see here, it is, so here you can say that this will not be there. It's empty. Okay, it is not acknowledgement, but only scene packet, right? Now, you sent scene as well as you are also transmitting acknowledgement. Acknowledgement for this packet and synchronization of your packet. So scene plus ACK. So you are actually synchronizing with your client with the number, sequence number 15,000, as well as you are sending back the acknowledgement 8001. So it is known as scene plus ACK packet, and this is only scene packet. You got it. It means that, okay, your server is also ready to get connected with you. But is your server knowing that you got his or her packet? No. For that, you need to send the acknowledgement back. Now you see clearly. Here the same sequence number I am using, because I don't want to waste my sequence number in acknowledgement, I'll using same sequence number, but I say that it's only an acknowledgement packet, and the acknowledgement number is 15,001. It means that I got your 15,000 sequence number synchronization, and you send back the acknowledgement, and this acknowledgement goes here, and your server knows that. Now, what has happened actually? The thing which has happened is server came to know that client will start transmitting the packet from 8,000, and client came to know that the server is going to transmit the packet sequence number from 15,000. This is the only thing has happened, and so that it is known as synchronization packet. And so that both are ready that okay, I will transmit from 8,000, server say that I will transmit from 15,000, and this entire process, it's a very easy process. Entire process is known as three-way handshaking. What I taught you is what is happening. What is actually happening, I taught you. Right? So people take it as a complex enough. It's not complex thing. It's very easy. And which packet it is, you will write here and explain them. Right? So scene packet, why scene plus ACK? Do not need to write that okay, there will be first scene packet, then scene ACK, then ACK. No, you understand this. And then you can, if someone is asking you, when in examination someone is asking you what is three-way handshaking, you by yourself can write it rather than copy and pasting. Because now you will explain actually what is happening. There will be client, there will be server, and both are, so this is known as three-way handshaking, connection establishment using three-way handshaking in TCP protocol. Or someone may ask you that explain three-way handshaking or explain connection or establishment using three-way handshaking in connection-oriented protocol. What is your connection-oriented protocol? Same TCP. It may be the case, right? You need to be very much sure that for which process protocol you are writing, right? Did you get this? I hope that you got it, and I wish you get it, right? Is it going okay? I don't understand whether you're getting it or not, because it has been 2:30. It has been 3 o'clock. It's very tough for me actually to get you back here in the CCN, but yes, I got you. Right. So now, that's it, sir? No, that is not it. But it's a first way to establish a connection. Then what will happen? Nothing. You transfer, exchange the data. Yes, very good. And then there will be connection termination. But when we establish a connection, what will be the case if I lost this packet? Because the channel we are talking about is a noisy channel. What happens if this is lost? What happens if this is lost? Yes, let's see. So before I go there, there is a topic known as scene flooding attack. Malicious user send large number of scene packet to the system. Suppose I have created a system where number of machines are there who are requesting for the connection establishment. What has happened? That server will have a limitation to serve number of users. Suppose I have the limitation that I can serve more than 250 up to 250 users. Now someone who is knowing the limitation will create number of 250 users, okay, malicious users, and they will send me SYN packets. So I will be busy in serving them. Actually, they do not need me. And the genuine user, when it writes that feedback.com, I will not be able to provide the service. This is the one way you can crash a server. or you can down the performance of the system. Malicious users send large number of SYN packet, which is known as SYN flooding attack, by saying that each comes from a different IP address. Yes, we will identify as a IP address. And so server assumes that client are active connection and allocate resources to them. Allocating resource means what? Your system is responding, right? So when it becomes responsive, it has to provide data to the clients, and those all clients are there, right? Suppose one person is there who has the capability to serve uh, 20 people at a time, and these all are, they don't want that you go to that legitimate person. So it is the person who is serving at least 20 people at a time, and you are here, you want, actually you want to meet him with a regarding to one problem, you're right. So and other people who are there, they don't want that you meet that person. So what they will do, they will create 20 unwanted people pretending to be more needy than you, and will be surrounded, this person will be surrounded by 20 people, and you won't be able to meet that person. This is what happening here. TCP server send SYN and ACK to fake client but lost. During that time, lot of resources is occupied without being used. Server run out of resources and get crashed. SYN belong types of attack called SYN belong, right? It belongs to type of attack which is known as DOS. It is known as denied of service, because you cannot provide service to the legitimate or some genuine client. Here this client is very much genuine, but this server will say that denial of service attack actually, but you can say denied of service, that that server cannot answer you or provide you service. Okay, SYN is a segment, cannot carry data, but it consumes one sequence number. You have seen that 8000 is the sequence number we were using. Okay, it cannot carry the data, but it assumes or consumes one sequence number. Now this will be the known things. SYN plus ACK segment cannot carry data but does consume one sequence number, because the SYN is there. Okay, SYN always consumes one sequence number, ACK does not. So that you see here for ACK, I don't actually need a sequence number. I'm using predefined sequence number or previously used sequence number. By and see why I'm using this, because my server will come to know that okay, 8000 8000, right? So this is correct packet. If you use another packet, it will not take. Okay, which acknowledgement you are sending? Why the sequence number you are changing? Okay, 8000 you say, you must use 8000. Okay, this is previously used sequence number, because it does not consume, but the field must not be empty, so that we are using same sequence number as a SYN packet, right? But it actually does not consume any sequence number. Yes, ACK does not consume any sequence number, but SYN consumes some sequence number, so that the sequence number is given here. An ACK segment, if carrying no data, consumes no sequence number. But if your acknowledgement has the data, in that case, it consumes sequence number. Same thing here. Your acknowledgement is that does not consume any sequence number. But yes, it is seen, or some data is there. In that case, for data for every data there will be sequence number, right? For every segment, and you know it. Cool. Over. That's it about this three-way handshaking. I hope that you are clear with this. Now let us, then what happens after connection establishment, there will be data transfer. Then they will transfer a data. You see here, it's a push pointer is there. 8001 se start kiya. You have mentioned that 8000 I will start from. So 8001 was expected. So first data 8001, and the data is 8001 to 9000. So 1000 bits are, sorry, bytes are there. It will be received by your receiver. Then it sends another data 9001, 9000 to 10000. It received by a receiver, and there will be a cumulative acknowledgement for this. I think I have mentioned this everything in flow control. So it will be very easy for me as well as you to understand this. And then it will be 1001. You see here, this is only acknowledgement. This is not only acknowledgement, but it has some data also, so that it is consuming sequence number. If there is no data, in that case, the sequence number will be 5,000, 15,000 only, not 15,001. But as it consumes one, it is transmitting data as well with this acknowledgement. It is nothing but piggybacking, right? With your data, you are transmitting acknowledgement. So what is acknowledgement? 10,001. What it means? From 8,000 to 10,000, I got your data. As well as I am transmitting a data which is having 15,001 to 17,000, and so that the very first byte number will be the sequence number of mine, and so that it is 15,001. As you received it, you do not want to send any data now. You do not want to send any data. So you see, the last sequence number you have used here, 10,000, because the sequence number must be 10,001. But what you are doing is you are transmitting 10,000, and 10,000 is a last bit you are using as a sequence number, because you do not have any data, and you don't your acknowledgement will not consume any sequence number, but you need to write it. So what you do is you write last bit, last byte number here, and this is only acknowledgement for 17,001, and this only acknowledgement. But this is receiver window size. This is receiver window size. What it says. So now I'm talking about window size. What is window size? Window size in TCP means that how much amount of data you can receive at a time. How much amount of data you can receive at a time. Okay. It's like how much amount of data you can carry at a time or catch at a time. So what happens here? Your receiver, your server is transmitting your data of 2000 byte. Yes or no? 2000 byte. It is received by your client, but in the next, when it sends back the acknowledgement, it is mentioning that my receiver window size is 10,000. What it means? It says that I can receive data up to 10,000 bytes at a time. If you have 10,000 bytes, you can transmit me. You can transmit me 10,000 byte at a time. I can receive it. My window size is this. It means that my buffer size is this. I can receive up to 10,000 bytes at a time. Right? Do we need to mention it always? No. Whenever you want to mention it, you can mention it. So it happens sometime, right? That you have huge amount of data and you can transmit it back. Let's say that, okay, I can receive more amount of data. This is just to inform. It doesn't mean it has to transmit 10,000 amount of data. No, but I can, if you have data, I can receive it. This is what the meaning of window size. So what happens actually behind the scene, I don't know, but that is there in, yes, it is there. I'll talk about it later on. Okay, it's there in presentation. I will talk about this window size later on. But this is how your data exchange will be there. And then finally what happens? What happens? Connection termination, third point. It's you see, it's very easy. Now, client, by knowing that I do not have anything else to get from the server and I am done with my job, and says that sequence number whatever X, acknowledgement number maybe whatever Y, it depends on what data you have, and then it is acknowledgement as well as fin packet. You will keep this bit as one, saying that I want to terminate connection. Whoever is taking chance first, coming first for this active close or termination will be active close, and this request goes to your server by looking at this request. Okay, if server does not have anything else to transmit, then will send back the acknowledgement as well as fin plus ACK packet, and here you will transmit back the acknowledgement. Okay, I got your termination request 2, and so that we both can now terminate the connection. This is what connection termination using three-way handshaking. Okay, fine. Yes, this everything you know. Fin consumes a sequence number. If it does not carry, okay, data, fin will consume a sequence number. The fin plus SCK segment consume one sequence number. If it does not carry any data, and now this is one situation I wanted to convey, but it is there in presentation. Very good. So I got it at on time, at actual time actually. So now you see this situation. What has happened? That your client has requested something, and by knowing that, okay, I have requested and I'm getting the data, but I don't have anything else to ask for this from the server. So what I do is I finish my connection. So I send termination request here by fin packet. So this request has received, actually the request is received by your server. Server has received it. By knowing that request, server will send back the acknowledgement only. Will send back the acknowledgement only. And as you know, it does not consume any sequence number. So whatever the acknowledgement -1, so last bit it will utilize, okay, of the previous transfer. Suppose it has transferred uh, uh, 8,001 to 9,000 bytes, then it will use sequence number as 9,000. It is already transmitted. So to use previously used sequence number, and then sending you the acknowledgement only, saying that what it means, I am not transmitting my fin packet right now. Why? Because I have something to transmit you. Data segment from the server to client, and acknowledgement from the client to server. Then there will be data segment from the here you have only send back the acknowledgement. Okay, I got your fin request, but I would not like to terminate the connection because I have something to transmit. And then your server will continue transmitting you data, and you continue transmitting you with back the acknowledgement because you are done. I'm not done yet. I have some data to transmit you, and then I'm done with my transmission. Now I know that you were ready for connection as the termination. So now I will send back the fin packet. And here I do not want to again go for this. And so when you receive the fin sequence from the server, you will send back the acknowledgement, and then the termination will happen. So this is known as half close because you are done, client is done, and server will terminate the connection later on. I hope that you got it, right? Half close. This entire graph, you can say, first we have idle, you do not have any connection so far. Then you go here and connection primitive executed. Which connection primitive? We will say that sin. We have this connection primitives, right? If you can recall it, connect, disconnect, send, receive. Yes or no? Bucklin's uh, connection primitives were there, TCP/IP. If you can recall it, connect, disconnect, send, receive, open, right? So connect primitive executed. Suppose connect is executed, the SYN packet you have transmitted, then active establishment is pending now, connection accepted, and TPDU transport protocol data unit is received, then established, connection is established, and then disconnect primitive executive, and so that connection is terminated, and you will be in idle mode. Suppose you are idle and connection request you have received. In that case, you, this is one side of that, you go for this. This I must say is active. This is passive. That you were idle. Your server was idle, and then it has received connection request from uh, one client. In that case, passive establishment, you will start and you will wait for the acknowledgement. The moment you will receive the acknowledgement, this will be executed, and then you go for connection termination. That's it. Okay. It may be case that you are offering connection first or you are terminating the connection first. If you are first, then this side is true for you. If you are passive, this side is true for you. It may be the case here you are passive only and here you are active. It may be the case. Any direction you can move, right? Is it going okay? Yes. Any doubt so far? Okay. Here, what is active and what is passive? Active is active open and passive open. If you are requesting for a connection, then for your side it is active open, and for to whom you are requesting will be for passive open. Anything else? So I hope that it is clear to others also, right? On not only to Dinky and Murtuza, but for others also. Fine or not? Okay. So now, what is window size? I was explaining you this. What is window size? Window size is what? It's a kind of sliding window, but it's a different thing. Suppose this is packet number one. How many packets you can receive? N plus one, and so on. M1, M, and so on. So this is nothing but your buffer, right? It was a circle actually, but when you break that circle and take a line, okay, 2 pi square, 2 pi r square, I think. Yes, it will be a line. Was a calculation in mathematics actually, just for a jokes apart, you just avoid it. I don't know. Do you know it? What is 2 pi r square? No. It was there in physics. This equation was there. Does anyone know what is 2 pi r square? Okay. Yes, someone wrote something. Area actually. Yes, yes, yes. So when you have a circle, right? So what we had as a buffer in previous figure, the buffer was like this, right? Was drawn like this, and here the buffer is in a single line. So when you cut it here from here, what you do is you will have the entire line. Okay, this is what the line you have, right? Okay, this is buffer actually. So what is window size? Window size is minimum of receiver window size and client window size. Okay, or when you transmit it, right? Suppose you have, very basic funda. If I would like to explain you, then you had the window size at 10,000 byte. What it means that without acknowledgement, you can receive up to 10,000 bytes. And you see, or you assume that you are not processing any data right now, only just receiving the data. And then by knowing that, okay, you have 10,000 byte, one person is transmitting you 7,000 byte. What it means? That you have received 7,000 byte from a person. It means that now you are left with only 3,000 byte. So when you send back the acknowledgement actually to this sender, in your receiver window size, you will write that 3,000. What it means that I can receive only 3,000 bytes at a time now. Suppose this person transmitted you 1,500 bytes. By receiving it, now you are left with only 1,005 bytes. So you will send that receiver window size is 1,005. It means that your sender can transmit you more than this. So it has transmitted you 7,000. It may transmit you 7,000 again, but you are not capable to receive 7,000. So you'll say that, okay, 1500 I can transmit. So it's a shrinking kind of thing. What it means that your window size is minimum of what your receiver can transmit you or what you can receive it. If you are capable to receive 5,000 bytes at a time and your sender is capable to transmit you 10,000 bytes at a time, then there will be a synchronization that the window size will be 5,000 only, because it must be minimum. If your receiver is capable to transmit you rather than 10,000, your receiver is capable to transmit you 2,000 and you are capable to receive 5,000, in that case, what will be the window size? 2,000. Right? This is what a window size is. So now by having this, a sliding window is used to make a transmission more efficient as well as to control the flow of data so that the destination does not become overwhelmed with the data. TCP sliding window are byte oriented. So you go with the bytes that which data you have received and up to which number of how much amount of data you can receive. So you look at the question, what is the value of the receiver window for host A? If the receiver host B has buffer size 5,000 and 1,000 byte of received and unprocessed. So you have buffer as 5,000. From that 1,000 bytes you have already received, but what it means, when it is unprocessed, it will be there in buffer only, right? So how much space is there? This many amount of space. So what will be the receiver window size? Your receiver, now you can receive up to 4,000 bytes only, not more than it. Yes, if anyone can transmit you less than it, it's okay. So the value of receiver window size will be 5,000 minus 1,000. Host B can receive only 4,000 byte of data before overflowing its buffer. And host B advertise this value to its next segment to A. And that is what actually done here. Maximizing or minimizing. Yes, if you can now see. You can announce it. Maybe more or maybe less. So, why people are showing me solution with together? I was actually wanting to ask you a question, but let's say, what is the size of window for host A if the value of the receiver window size is 3,000 and the value of client window size is 3,500? Then you know the equation, right? It is going to be minimum of 3,000 comma 3,500. So the minimum value will be 3,000. Yes, take your time and just read this. Just read this. Figure I will show you later on. You can note this down, this number. it's an unrealistic example of sliding window. The sender has sent bytes up to 202. You can note this down in your note pen using your note actually. We assume that CWND is 20, the real value of thousands of bytes, okay? But right now we have only 20. The receiver has sent acknowledgement number of 2000 with an RWND of 9 bytes. Okay, the size of the sender window is minimum of receiver and CWND or 9 bytes. Byte 2002 202 are sent but not yet acknowledged. Byte 203 to 8 can be sent without worrying about acknowledgement. Byte 209 is above and cannot be sent. Just clear this scenario in your mind, or if you can create it. Now let us see. Everything is there. Everything is there in figure. Don't worry. If they'll ask you that, you just analyze this figure. What it says, window size is receiver can receive up to 20 and you can send up to 9. So this window size will be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have transmitted 9 segments. Okay. In these 9 segments, 1, 2, 3 are acknowledged. Sorry, not acknowledged. Yet it has not been acknowledgement. These many packets are transmitted and acknowledged. This is an entire window. Okay. Cannot be sent until the windows is open. Can be sent immediately. These are ready. So this you have transmitted but not acknowledged. So you go and transmit this, go and transmit this, go and transmit this, go and transmit this, transmit this, transmit this. The moment you will get the acknowledgement for this, what you'll do is slide your window here. Or else that person will announce you that, okay, I can now receive one, because this entire window is there and the buffer is full. So 9 packets are there. It will, when it will be free by receiving or processing 1 or 2 or 3 packets, it will say that, okay, now I can receive more than your packet. So this was actually the idea, how you can represent what is the meaning of this window size, right? Some points about TCP sliding window. You will come to know how TCP flow control algorithm or congestion control algorithm works. You'll come to know. Don't worry. It's a separate topic itself. Don't worry. Some points about TCP sliding windows. So the size of the window is the lesser of RWND and CWND. The source does not have to send a full window's worth of data, right? You can keep it as less, or the window can be open or closed by the receiver but should not be shrunk. By receiver, it can be open or closed. The destination can send an acknowledgement at any time as long as it does not result in shrinking window. Right? Shrinking window, what it means, that you can receive 9 packets at a time, and now you have received 5 packets, so that the window you will shrink it by 4, because now you can only receive 4 packets. You have already 5 packets in your buffer. What is the space you have? 4. So this is nothing but a shrinking. Right? Shrinking, what it means, that 9 packets are there, you have received 3 packets, so it says, okay, now my size of my window is 6 only. I have shrinked it. Right? So shrinking must be done by the receiver, how or what you have is, right, how much amount of data you can receive. The destination can, okay, the receiver can temporarily shut down the window. Yes, the sender, however, can always send a segment of 1 byte after a window is shut down. When you shut down the window, what it means that I cannot receive now. So they will be able to transmit at least 1 byte after the window is shut down. It may be acknowledgement, or it may be to inform you, okay, the how much amount of data, or what will be the window size, or kind of request, right? It will not be totally closed. ECK segment do not, yes, we have ECK segments do not consume or does not consume any sequence number and are not acknowledged. So you cannot have acknowledgement of acknowledgement. Suppose you have transmitted 2000 number, sequence number segment. Your receiver has received it, and so that it has transmitted you 201 as a acknowledgement. That okay, I got your 2000 packet. So you cannot transmit the acknowledgement of the acknowledgement, right? Modern implementation, a retransmission occur if retransmission timer expires or 3 duplicate ECK segments have arrived. I think I have explained you this, na? 3 acknowledgement, 3 duplicate. No, okay. I have explained you negative acknowledgement. If you can recall it, I was explaining you this using that window protocol. Selective repeat. When I was explaining you selective repeat, and go back, and in selective repeat I might have talked about this negative acknowledgement for faster retransmission. So in modern implementation, a retransmission occurs if retransmission timers expire. What it means, if you have transmitted this segment number, sequence number 2000, and it is received by your receiver, and if you didn't receive the acknowledgement up to this time, timeout timer, if you have not received any timeout, any acknowledgement within this timeout timer, in that case you can retransmit it. Or duplicate acknowledgement segment have received. Well, I don't know whether it is there or not, but go for it. Is it there or not? I don't know, but I will explain you. Don't worry. You need to keep that in your mind. What 3 duplicate acknowledgement is. Yes, in modern implementation, retransmission. So how does retransmission works? You have a sender and you have a receiver. You transmit a packet, and as I told you, if you didn't get any acknowledgement within this timeout timer, what may be the cases? The cases may be that this packet is lost, or the case may be the acknowledgement is already there, but acknowledgement is lost. In both the case, you will go for retransmission. So this is timeout timer, and then you will retransmit the entire packet. Suppose the sequence number of this packet is 2000, so you will retransmit 2000 packet. This is how first your retransmission happens. Okay. Now another way where retransmission happens is 3 duplicate acknowledgement segments have arrived. So what happens in this case, that suppose you have transmitted a packet with sequence number, let us say 10, and then you have transmitted a packet with sequence number 20, and suppose it is lost, and then you have transmitted packet number 30 which is received correctly, and this is the timeout for 10, this is the timeout for 20, and this is the timeout for 30. Now the 20 is lost, and so that as your receiver is knowing that I have received 10 correctly, I have received 20 correctly. Sorry, I have not received 20 correctly, I have received 30 correctly. So in that case, by having this third 30 received, your receiver will come to know, okay, 20 is not received. What it means, 20 might lost in the acknowledgement or in the link. So what it does, your receiver, for faster retransmission, it will transmit back you the acknowledgement for 20, that I want 20. By receiving this acknowledgement, you will come to know, okay, 20 I have already transmitted, but it may be lost due to anything. So I will be waiting for the acknowledgement, right? 20 is there or not. So, okay. So let us wait. It may be delayed or something kind of. You will transmit 40. Now you keep in your mind, you have transmitted 40. With the 40, as it has received 40, it will transmit back you the 20, acknowledgement as 20. You say, sir, acknowledgement must be 50. No, it will transmit it 20. That whatever packet I am getting, don't worry, I have the count for it, but I didn't get 20. Suppose you transmit 50 yet, and you say that, okay, due to delay, it may be late. For the acknowledgement of this also, it will transmit 20. And when this happens, 3 duplicate ACK acknowledgement has arrived for 20, you will immediately, without wasting any time, you will transmit 20 packet by assuming that 20 is lost. For my graphical view, suppose 20 timeout timer is here, somewhere here. And so that by knowing that, what you do is you immediately transmit 20th packet. So it is for faster retransmission. And when your 20 is received, by knowing that, okay, 30 was there, 40 was there, 50 was there, the acknowledge which you will receive will be of 60 directly, because it's a cumulative acknowledgement, because your receiver knows that I have received 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Sorry, 50, up to 50 I have received. I have not received 20, and so that I did this. 3 duplicate acknowledgement. No retransmission timer is set for an yes ACK. Data may arrive out of order and be temporarily stored by the receiving TCP in a buffer, but TCP guarantees that no out of the order segment is delivered to the process. What it means, that whatever out of the order packets are there will be there in buffer, but when you represent or when you uh, deliver it to the process, to the machine, there will not be any out of the order packet. You just do it here. What you do is you sort it. Okay, sorting will happen here. That all packets will be in perfect order, and then only you will forward it to process, right? When your practical viva examination is there, out of the order students are welcome before no, by entering the for entering into the lab, but no out of the order students will be allowed to sit in out of the order sequence, right? So this you must, yes, up to this. Is it clear? Is it clear up to this? What is ACK, 3 acknowledgement, duplicate acknowledgement? You must get this, na? Through 3 duplicate acknowledgement up to this. Is it clear? Yes, very good. If you have any doubt, you can. I'll upload it today itself, and this lecture gets over, I will upload it, right? Don't worry. For your reference, for your Yes, Murtuza, if duplicate AC key is lost, then you will have a count. Then after timeout timer, you are going to retransmit it, right? In any way, you will retransmit it. But three duplicate acknowledgement is for faster retransmission, right? If one student is not replying, what I'll do is, for an examination, what I do is go for three duplicate announcement. This is for faster submission. Or when for finally I know that he or she is going to have timeout occurs, he or she has to uh, submit the entire work. But what I do is for faster retransmission. Yes, anything else? Just a moment, I'll start a new presentation. Okay, I hope that there is no doubt so far. So let me start another presentation. I must share it. No? Let me share with you. Yes. Okay, I hope that my screen is there. Yes. Okay, got it. So this congestion control and quality of service is a topic which we are going to start now. What is congestion control and quality of service? I don't know whether you can hear me or not. Yes, my audio is on. Video. Yes. Congestion control and quality of service. That is a new topic we are going to start today. What is congestion control and quality of service? Both you can say for congestion control, you can keep a traffic in your mind. Okay, vehicle traffic, vehicle, right? On the road, the bandwidth or link you are given. And when you transmit a data, if huge amount of data is there, you cannot provide good quality of service. If you have managed it such a way that you can provide good quality of service, so you need to control a congestion. Congestion is a complexity which happens that when you have number of traffic or packets are there, number of packets are there, buffer and everywhere, and so that your link cannot handle it. Okay, you know the capacity of the link. What is capacity of the link? That how many bits or number of packets you can have, or number of bits you can have at a time present on the link, right? If you take a pipe, a water pipe, suppose this is the pipe you have, how much amount of water it can handle. This much amount of water you calculate, and you can have, suppose 1 liter bottle is there, right? For 1 liter bottle, how much amount of water you can handle here, right? I am not good at figure, but this is what water you can have, fill up to this. But if you try to fill more than this, then there will be overflow. The packets will be discarded. This is same as a link here. If you have a link, you if you go and forward number of packets on it, have a traffic in it, in that case the packet will be discarded, and you cannot provide good quality of service. For that, you need to manage it such a way that you can provide good quality of service. Suppose you take audio, you take video, you take web surfing, uh, kind of service which you are providing in your network, right? When we say our Google bandwidth, if you are using lower bandwidth, uh, in that case what has happened, or what is happening actually, that you will not be able to see what your professor is teaching you. If your network is not good enough to provide you good quality of service, in that case you cannot hear the audio correctly, or you will not be able to get what information is actually going on in the network, right? To For that we need to manage a network. See, to providing a network, you can do it, you can configure it and so on, everything will be there. You provide IP addresses, you create router, you create a routing algorithm. But for good quality of service, which kind of packets will be given more priority? What has happened, that suppose the traffic has happened and here is the ambulance, and it has to go through this road, but it cannot, because what you do is, all vehicle is there, you cannot, you know, take a vehicle or you throw it away. No, you cannot do it until and unless they'll get a path. They will not move from here, and the ambulance will be waiting here. So who will be given more priority? Who will have the entire bandwidth? So what we can do is, we can have a path which no one will use it. It is only for those, suppose emergency vehicle, like for suppose CM, PM, collector, and uh, ambulance, medical emergencies. For that, this path is reserved. This is what you can do is, for our city only, always they go for this quality of service. How you provide good quality of service, right? Since we are going to see in this. So data traffic, the main focus of congestion control and quality of service is the data traffic, how you manage it, how you give good quality of service. In congestion control, we try to avoid traffic congestion. Now you know what is traffic congestion, right? As I mentioned, the traffic congestion is due to number of unavoided packet. It is there. Just a moment. Just a moment. Yes, okay. So in congestion control, we try to avoid traffic congestion. In quality of service, we try to create appropriate environment for a traffic, for that entire traffic. When we talk about traffic, what it means, traffic may be of different type. Okay, when you say web serving traffic, when you say audio traffic, a video traffic, or LAN traffic, or routing traffic, kind of traffic, another, there will be different kind of traffic will be there. What we need to do is we need to provide appropriate environment for the traffic. For emergency traffic, you say that what is the priority of this traffic, what is priority of this traffic. Okay, for every traffic you must have a priority. Okay, or which kind of priority you are going to avoid, uh, going to give to that particular traffic, right? So before we go for this congestion control, we need to discuss what kind of data traffic we have it, right? So when you, how you describe it, this descriptor, traffic descriptor, you have data rate. Sometimes you go and your traffic is going such a way, like this is the graph given to you. So you say that okay, this is the time where you have peak data rate. No, maximum size of burst size of the data rate is going there, right? So you just try to check where your average data rate is there, what is burst data rate is there, lower data rate is there, and this is how you can manage your traffic. The traffic profilers are there. This is just for your information. That is constant bit rate, which is never going to change anything, constantly going on. This variable bit rate and this burst bit rate. Sometimes it is very high, sometimes it is not, sometimes it is somewhat data rate is there on your network, right? It depends on the time it is going on, right? What is congestion? Congestion, let's say, in a congestion in a network may occur if the load on the network, the number of packets sent to the network is greater than the capacity of the network. I already mentioned that what is going to be the capacity of the network. You can always calculate it. That first bit is from here. How much time taken by that bit to travel at the end of the link. Suppose this is your link. You know what is going to be your uh, the time to travel from one end to another end, and you say how many bits you can put at a time, no, for mbps or something like that, and so that you will get the capacity of the link, that how many bits may be there for a time, maximum bits can be there in a link. Okay, if you have more than that packets, in that case the congestion may be there. Okay, and the capacity of the network, if the messages are packets are there, the congestion may be there. The number of packets a network can handle. Right? Congestion control refers to the mechanism and the techniques to control the congestion and keep the load below the capacity. It is the mechanism for congestion control to keep the traffic below your capacity, and so that you can actually manage it, right? To manage it, you need to have a technique to see that okay, the congestion is happening here. How can I manage it? Right? These main techniques are that before I go there, this is inbound queue and this is outbound queue. You know that for every router, if this is the interface, this is another interface, this is one interface. For every interface, there will be input queue and output queue. Right? For input queue, you put, there will be buffer size here, there will be buffer size here, and everywhere there will be buffer size. I mentioned this in my previous lecture, right? Earlier when I was explaining you this uh, TCP control protocol, right? I mentioned you when I was discussing queuing. These many queues are there. So when you forward the message here, input and output, okay, here it goes out of the link, here it comes inside. So when this becomes full, suppose this buffer is full, in that case what has happened, that this is full now, no one can transmit the packet here. So it may be the case that here is the most important packet which is going on in this link, but this buffer is full, so that it will be discarded and it will not be there on the link, right? In that case your router will not be able to forward it to the another router, and this is what, where your network performance will be degraded or your important packet is lost. Okay. So actually what we are managing is we are managing this, right? What amount of packets must be there in a queue, how much amount of packet must be there in a queue, and so on. Yes, when you forward number of packets and or delay, if your delay will be more, congestion area will be higher. See, no congestion area, so that if you directly going delays in a function of a load, and here if you go for throughput, there is no congestion. If your congestion goes on, the throughput will be lower, right? As well as your congestion go on, your delay will be higher. It's a normal things. You go and travel from college to your home. If there is lower traffic, there is no traffic, you can have a time that I can reach to my home within 7 minutes. But if a huge traffic is there, election results are there, you cannot say that, okay, I will be there within 7 minutes. No, you may take half an hour to reach to your home, right? So for congestion control refers to the technique, and we have seen it. So either okay, for this technique and mechanism that can either prevent the congestion before it happens or removes the congestion after it has happened. These are the two techniques I have. So if I'm going to be, or one person is there who is, let us say, collector of the city, there may be a traffic. So what you can do is, first thing you can do is you can take a step so that the congestion will not happen at a particular day or time, or else if it has happened, you need to remove the congestion, right? The two ways you can do it. In general, we can divide congestion control mechanism into two broad categories, and broad categories are open loop congestion control, which is nothing but a prevention, and closed loop congestion control, which is removal. So this is before it happens, you will need to take some steps and a removal. So you do something so that congestion will not happen at all, but yes, you'll try to have something that you will avoid congestion, right? So for open loop congestion control and closed loop congestion control mechanism. So you see that open loop congestion control is your prevention, and this is your removal. For yes, for this you have congestion control open loop. So we'll only go with open loop today, and tomorrow we'll go with closed loop. So let me complete this. For an open loop, this is, you keep in your mind, it is nothing but prevention. You want that congestion will not, should not actually happen, and for that you are taking these many steps. So open loop retransmission policy. What is retransmission policy? Can anyone tell me how it creates congestion? Can anyone help me out? See, congestion is what traffic is. Suppose my window size is 10. I have transmitted 10 packets. One of the packet is lost, only one of the packet. What I'll do is, I will send in go backend, I'll send entire window again for retransmission. That may create a load on it, on the link. So your retransmission policy must be like a kind of a technique, so that you are only retransmitting a packet which is lost, not that entire window. See, in 10 only one packet is lost, and you are transmitting entire window for it. Meaning behind it, it only you are using GBN, and so that you are doing it. So better you transmit or retransmit a packet. So your retransmission policy must be like this, so that it is never causing congestion control, right? Then window policy. What should be your window size, right? You just choose it such a way so that congestion should not happen. Acknowledgement policy. Again, acknowledgement policy, that for every packet, if I'm transmitting the acknowledgement back, you see it will be actually multiplying your traffic, your packet traffic by 2, because if you are transmitting 10 packets, you will have 10 acknowledgement packets back. So totally there will be 20 packets. At a time, there will be one window size packet acknowledgement policy. So how you are giving acknowledgement back for every packet? Suppose you are sitting there, and suppose you are calling to your friend, and you are explaining important concept, or you are talking with him on important point. For every point, that person is saying you yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. That will actually take time or may affect to your important data. So what acknowledgement policy you should use? So you use for cumulative acknowledgement or individual acknowledgement. If you want to avoid congestion control, or if you want to avoid congestion, in that case, better you go for cumulative acknowledgement rather than going for individual acknowledgement. Right? Discarding policy. How you discard a packet when you congestion has occurred? Which packet you must take in consideration and you discard it. Right? Some packets are there which are that okay congestion is going to be there. So whom to avoid or which packets are not for of much information or much importance. We say that priority. They are not of more priority packets. In that case, what you do is you can just discard that packet, right, to avoid the congestion. So discarding policy you must change. An admission policy. Admission policy when a server is there and number of clients are requesting for resources from the server. What you do is if you are allowing every users, okay, you come and access our data, that will be uh, obviously there will be congestion. So better to whom you want to go with or whom you go want to admit, right, for service. That also you can manage that whom to allow or whom not to allow to manage this congestion. These many things are the retransmission, window policy, acknowledgement policy, discarding policy, and admission policy. This is for congestion control in open loop. For closed loop back pressure, okay, this also I can complete, but yes, yes, one lecture within one lecture I can complete this entire topic. It's okay, no problem. Any doubt so far? Is it clear up to this? Even I cannot go beyond this because for today I think we have been for 2.5 hours, right? Okay, so those who are not having any doubt may leave the meeting.